NFL on my own. And welcome back to another episode of Plug Talk Sports. My name is Brandon, joined by, of course, as always, Jonka. And unfortunately, we don't have our founder, Daniel, with us today. We're praying for him right now as he goes through some family issues. So he'll always be in our thoughts and minds. But, of course, the show always goes on. Let's start off as usual. John, which one do we go? Bad or the best thing of your week?
Let's go bad. Let's start off with bad.
Okay. If I can go first on this one, definitely would have to be the fact that everything was due on one day for the end of the semester for me at UF, all on a Wednesday. Out of all the days, why a Wednesday, right? Not a Friday, Sunday. It's ridiculous. So everything was due like on a Wednesday. I did all the work on a Wednesday. And then the professors, they like play with you too, because they change your grades after the Wednesday. And it's like, oh yeah, you're 80 turns to a 79, and oh, just kidding, you're 79. So you know what I mean? So glad that's all over for at least this spring semester for me. But definitely the worst part, just going back and forth like that. What about you?
A couple things. What was it? Oh yeah, Aaron Judge. She has a left hip strain or something, so he's gonna be out for like a week or two. And my Yankees weren't doing so hot with him there. Giancarlo Stanton also, he's injured. What else? It happened? What was it? What? Jeez, I just had it.
I just feel like everything's bad going for the Yankees, though, man. I mean, injury-wise, of course.
I don't know what was it, man. I had it. Well, yeah, I'm just stick with that. I had it in my head. I had it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go on with that though. But best thing, I know we're gonna go into it later on. But again, I'm not a Heat fan, nothing like that. But just as a South Florida sports guy, both bottom 8-seeded teams in the NHL and NBA making it through to the second round in their playoffs. The best thing I've seen all week. I was jumping up and down with my roommates nonstop in Gainesville yesterday to see the Panthers game, of course, which we'll go into, but definitely the best thing I have to say for this week.
For me, it's I'm gonna have to give a shout out to Steph Curry dropping 50 in the Game 7.
Yep.
On somebody else's turf, which is more impressive.
Insanely impressive.
And then just breaking just like an hour ago, legit. Oklahoma cornerback, just to read it, cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Davis has committed to Miami, so he's transferring to Miami.
Wow, huge news.
So Miami's going to get some experience at the cornerback position. Hopefully, we needed that if you saw last year. So that inspires some more defensive players to come over here. But and there's rumors that Miami might be getting Xavier Henderson, former Gator. He also former Columbus alum. So
it's possible. I mean, again, like a lot of people that watch South Florida high school football, they know a lot of those kids do always come back to Miami or FIU or vice versa, depending on that talent they have.
And Jaden Davis did attend St. Thomas Aquinas, so that's another Miami thing for him. So
exactly. But sticking in South Florida, but we're gonna go away from football into the NBA playoffs. Now, this has been a very weird one because I think if anybody, again, March Madness type of thing, if anybody made a bracket for this year's NBA playoffs, bracket busted day 2, 3, whatever you want to call it. The Miami Heat and the New York Knicks able to upset, technically seeding-wise, upset the rivals, and that being the Cavaliers for the Knicks and the Miami Heat. In 5 games, the Milwaukee Bucks. If you guys were tuned in last Monday for our episode, we were basically watching the entire game 4 live when Jimmy Butler hit 56. Jimmy Butler, a 40-piece, and added on to that a winner in overtime to beat Milwaukee, a top team overall record in the NBA, one of the top 3 defensive teams in the NBA, gone against a Miami Heat team who came to the playoffs with the worst, stat-wise, the worst offense in the NBA. And now the Pat Riley series, it's real. Knicks, Heat in Madison Square Garden, the Miami Heat able to take one. And again, this is going to be a game, and I have to say a series that's going to be dealt with injuries because Julius Randle, a star for the New York Knicks, a lot of people from New York say, oh, we don't really need Julius. He doesn't do much instead of like Jalen Brunson. They needed Julius in this one. They needed Julius. The Miami Heat on Sunday afternoon in Madison Square Garden, winning it 108-101. And probably the crazy thing about it, it wasn't even just Jimmy Butler. Like, Jonka, I've been wanting to talk about this for the longest. The renaissance of Kyle Lowry's game. At 30 whatever years old, Kyle Lowry off the bench, 18 points, playing nearly 30 minutes in this one. I mean, Jonka, I'm pretty sure you're watching the game. I think the entire South Florida area was watching the game. What are your takes of the game?
I gotta give credit where credit's due. Even though Kyle Lowry, he had 18 points, but the biggest factor for him was he had 4 blocks.
Yeah.
So he was a menace on the defense. Out of all people, it was him to play defensive. But the Heat, I think the Heat are undefeated so far when they have Kevin Love in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
If I saw that correctly on Twitter, which I find pretty good. So, but the Heat just needed. I think it was Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent just started hot, and he just rolled the game out 5 of 12 from 3, and then he just opened up the game for him. And then Butler did what he had to do, shot 50%. Obviously, he has to do that.
Of course.
Without Butler, forget it. This team is. I don't even know how to even say it. There's not even a word that describes it. But supposedly Butler would not be playing tomorrow. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. They're putting him right now as doubtful. What I'm hearing.
And supposedly Jalen Brunson also might not be playing.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's game might be. Well, no, it could be anybody's game. So Miami can go up 2-0 or they can go down 1-1. Best scenario, I would try to sneak Jimmy in for limited minutes. If Jalen Brunson decides not to play, take a 2-0 lead, go back to Miami, and try to seal the deal there because you have until Saturday. So you'll have plenty of weeks rest. A couple days rest, yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, you'll have like 3.5 days of rest. Jimmy will be healthy with his ankle. He'll be ready to ball. And you win that third game, 3-0 lead. No one's coming back from a 3-0 lead. Knicks are done. And then
I just want to pause you there. So you're saying Miami Heat take the first 3 games out of this series?
It depends if Jimmy plays tomorrow.
Okay.
If Jimmy plays tomorrow and Jalen Brunson doesn't, then yes, I'll say that he sweep the Knicks.
Okay, because I was going to talk about New York in this game, but before we get to that, because now we're talking about more or less if Jimmy plays, if he doesn't play, injury stuff. What I'm really curious about, because again, as you mentioned before, Jalen Brunson, he's questionable to play in game 2 as well as Julius Randle, but it's expected for them to kind of, again, you're down 1-0 at home in a series where you should at least be fighting for it. Honestly, I had the Knicks kind of winning this series in at least 6 to 7 games. But after that first game, I mean, they made a brick wall against Brunson. He can't really do anything offensively. And quickly during the regular season, there was a reason why he was a finalist for 6th Man of the Year. I haven't seen that in the playoffs. Now, the question I have, though, Jonka, is if Julius Randle does come back for game 2, what does that mean for the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler? I mean, do you, no matter what happens, you ship Jimmy Butler in time to go back to Miami to rehab for game 3? Or do you kind of salvage yourself and say, look, we're not going to get – because I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or a definite guarantee win for New York if Julius does come back to this roster. But without Butler, then you add on the aggressiveness of Julius' offense on ISO. I mean, that's going to be Bam Adebayo's challenge. And then you got Caleb Martin, who has 6'6", has to go against Hardenstein inside the paint. And that could obviously lead to some offensive rebounds. Maybe even Kevin Love might even help a little bit. But do you bring Jimmy Butler back if that scenario pops in your head, like, we need a guy for Julius?
If Julius Randle comes back, for example, tomorrow, game 2, he will. I don't know offensively if he'll be there because he has to, get ready. He's been out for a couple weeks, but I'm gonna say he'll be. I would, as a coach, I would tell him work little by little on the offense, but try to defend as much as possible and try to get some rebounds. Focus on the rebounding. I'd put him on Love. I'd put him on Jimmy a couple of possessions on Adebayo because Julius Randle is a big dude,
right?
And we've seen with Adebayo how he looks when you put a big body on him. So that could be a factor. It could be the same wall that they put on Brunson. Julius Randle could be a wall they put on Adebayo.
Yeah.
And Julius Randle can score on will. He could score outside or inside. So if he were to come back tomorrow and play, it would probably be limited minutes. But if he were to play and Jalen Brunson were to play, I think the Knicks would win that game and go up and go tie it to 1-1. But I don't see Julius Randle playing game 2. And I just need to see more. I need to see the more news on Jalen Brunson if he's gonna play or not tomorrow. That's why that's what I need to even confirm or not who's gonna win. But if for sure Jimmy Butler doesn't play, then it's anybody's game.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I really do believe that for health reasons, everything like that, I mean, you did what you had to do in New York. I mean, you got a game out of 2 to start off this series. So I think Butler, if he does go back to Miami to rehab, honestly, again, it's never going to be a guarantee that New York could win game 2. I mean, as I mentioned before, Jalen Brunson, who ended up finishing off this game with 25 points, however, through 40 minutes and shot about 47% clip. I mean, their defense played really well, and then the 3-ball in the second half just kind of exploded for Miami. And, I mean, the only thing I would say about this Miami team, if there is no Butler, and I've probably been saying it since the Milwaukee series, Gabe Vincent needs to be a factor, which he has been in the past 3 games for Miami. And, of course, Kevin Love, who has been doing outlet passes like a QB1 since, like, UCLA days in college. Kind of weird. But, I mean, they need Kevin Love as well to step up. But also, I do want to go into the Knicks side of things before we go on to the next series. I do look at the stat line itself. This was a game where Obi Toppin ended up starting for Julius. He was usually the backup. New York kid finished with 18 points in this one as his first start in the playoff game. And he did pretty well for himself. 8 rebounds. RJ Barrett, he had himself 26 points, a rebound away from a double-double. But 20 shots? I was a little bit questionable about that. I mean, I get that Josh Hart's kind of having a slow day for New York in that game 1, but do I really want RJ Barrett to have 20 shots? I understand, like, he wants to prove people that, he's a top 3 pick out of Duke for a reason. But, I mean, this is his first ever second round.
I think so. I would agree with the 20 shots just because Julius Randle isn't playing. So you need to give him some extra shots in. And he could get hot. So you have without Randall, you don't have that 1-2. So you need to bring in the 2 from somewhere. And I guess RJ Barrett's gonna have to be the guy. What was it? If Jimmy doesn't play, I totally forgot about RJ Barrett. I think Knicks take it. I think the Knicks take the second game if Butler doesn't play.
Okay, so again, a lot of questions about that Butler one, but let's talk the Battle of North California, North Cal. Kings, Warriors, Game 7. And again, the Kings, who had broken the record in the first round for this year's playoff for the most attended in their arena in Golden One Center. Jonka, I know you had a lot to say about this game. I know, for me personally, I thought the Kings' offense was really fun to watch. I hate to see it go. especially like how fast they were. I think they were the better team. But I remember one podcast when we were talking about this series, I said, I don't expect Clay and Curry to give you like 25 plus each. They gave you 25 plus each in like the past few games, and Curry with a 50 piece, the most in a game 7 in the playoffs. But John, I mean, say your spill though, man. Say your spill about this because I know you have a lot to talk about.
I watched that game. I watched every game. I've never watched a series more intently than that series in my life. And I've seen all the NBA finals, conference finals. I've never been more like on a series than this one right here that we just witnessed for the past 2 weeks. Someone needs to give Steph Curry or make a trophy based off of Steph Curry. I don't know what it is. They need to give him a trophy, a statue, something. Oh, the Steph Curry award goes to this. I don't know who. They need to make one. Make one up because this guy is off the charts. Clay in the first half was 1 for 11.
Yeah, no, it was a really bad day for Clay. I think Curry he needed to take over.
1 for 11, and yet for some reason, the game was still by 2, bro.
Yeah.
And I tweeted it, and I'm like, Steph Curry has 20 points in the half, and they're only losing by 2. Clay hasn't heated up yet. Wiggins hasn't heated up yet. No one's heated up but Steph. Steph is the only one that is hot. And then there comes the third quarter. Kevon Looney, bro. Kevon Looney. Someone pay this man.
He needs the extension.
And then besides Kevon Looney getting 23 something, I don't even know how many rebounds he got. That it was ridiculous.
Yeah. No, actually, funny enough, finished off the day 21 rebounds.
21 rebounds.
Which is like, how? Was Sabonis in the paint? How, you know?
Sabonis became a little man in that game. And Steph Curry did what he had to do, scoring 30 in the second half. He just demoralized the entire King. De'Aaron Fox looked like he couldn't shoot anymore. I don't know what happened. He actually got a little hot in the first quarter. He made like a couple twos and a 3 or 2. I don't know. I was like worried because I was like, oh no, don't tell me this, man. Don't tell me De'Aaron Fox is getting heated up again.
Hey, but I mean, not even that. Fox is dealing with injury because I believe there was something wrong with his finger on his shooting hand on his left hand.
He re-injured it because he went for a swipe and he hit the ball wrong and it re-aggravated the broken tip or something.
Yeah, I forgot which game that was. I know he was dealing with in game 6.
5, no?
Yeah, he probably did in 5. But and again, because I mean, there's also another series I really want to talk about before we get to our next segment. But what I would say about this game specifically, game 7, besides of course, you know, Curry 50-point game and just Looney ridiculous on the offensive rebounds. The Sacramento Kings themselves, Malik Monk was barely involved in this one. I think that Golden State and Steve Kerr, when they went into this game, was like, yeah, let's just give Sabonis, let's give, you know, Fox, whatever they want. But Monk himself, they were not allowing Monk to get 25 again. No. Games 1 and 2 were like, I mean, what did Monk have in this game? I mean, legitimately. 14 points, right? 4 and 14, though, from the floor shooting. That's like less than 15%, Jonka. That's ridiculous. Honestly, defensively, that's a ridiculous stat line to have as a defense against your opponent. But definitely for the Kings themselves, before we go into the next match, I do want to say the offseason of them. You know, because people are talking about, you know, as a 3 seed, is this season a failure? And I know this conversation has been going crazy ever since Milwaukee and Giannis, but has this season been a failure for the Kings? I don't really believe so. We're talking about a 3rd seed. You're breaking, you know, your NBA drought for the playoffs of 16 years. And at the same time, you got your rookie in Keegan Murray, who at the first 2 games, I was kind of questionable about how involved he'll be in this offense in postseason play. He was like the guy a little bit in stretches in the first half of this game 7. And as well, like there's even some stretches where they back-to-back threes. And I'm like, is he actually going to be a difference? You know? And again, this is a series that I think comes with a lot of questions for the next one against the Lakers. Like Jordan Poole himself, I think that his personality is getting a little bit out there. I mean, if you saw game 6, He looked like a rag doll out there with a puppet on top of his head. Like somebody was controlling him. That did not look like Jordan Poole at
I
all.
think I think what Sacramento did was they knew that they knew they weren't gonna stop Steph. Let's be honest. No
Yeah.
team was gonna stop Steph. You try your best with Clay, but they knew there's the third scoring option was gonna be Poole, and obviously with Mike Brown being the former assistant coach for the Warriors, he knew that if you're gonna deal with somebody not getting hot, then it's gonna have to be Jordan Poole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they tried their best. They put anybody to go on Poole. They were defending Poole like it was Jesus Christ on a cross. I don't even know. I just made that up. I don't even know what I'm saying. But they put everybody, Keegan Murray to Monk to Sabonis to what's his name, Davian Mitchell. They put everybody on Poole whenever he came in, and I think that translated to see how bad he was shooting. Yeah, he can make a couple threes here and there, but like you could just tell that he was not comfortable.
Yeah. But I mean, and also before we go, I just want to say shout out to Sabonis, Black Eye, caved in chest after a Draymond stomp in game 2.
He deserves it though.
I'm gonna leave it at that. But definitely is gonna miss out the Sacramento Kings with Sabonis and their little handoff on top of the perimeter offense. But let's go to the next one. This will be the last series I want to talk about for the NBA. Of course, wearing it now. Happening in current time, fourth quarters getting started recently for the Celtics and the 76ers. This series in itself, because again, I want to talk about this not only because the Miami Heat could potentially go against Boston for a trilogy in recent years with Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat against Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, but because this is a series where there's a lot of questions. And I understand there's a lot of questions because you look at Philadelphia, Joel Embiid with a messed up knee going after the Brooklyn Nets sweep and he was ruled out. He actually was getting some shots before this game. It looked like for a second that they put him as doubtful. He's ruled out prior to the game, about maybe an hour or so before the game. James Harden recently decided to actually go inside and attack the basket a little bit more compared to what he did in the Brooklyn Nets series, which I was kind of surprised about. He ended up finishing like 21 points in the first half of this game that they're playing right now. But at the same time, the Celtics, and I was talking about this in our group chat after the Atlanta Hawks Celtics series.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, and again, I know this is going to sound like a crazy take, but the way that the Atlanta Hawks match up against the Celtics, the way they came into this postseason with confidence after the play-in game, this was somewhat, and I hate to say this, because again, I could be wrong easily, but I feel like it's a better roster matchup against the Celtics than what Philadelphia has, even with Joel Embiid healthy. And I understand Joel Embiid, 30-point player, but Tyrese Maxey had to kind of stride himself into another level against Brooklyn to actually escape to in Game 3 and Game 4 to kind of finish off the Nets against Mikal Bridges. And again, the Nets, 6-seeded team, but they were not a playoff team whatsoever. That team, honestly, again, Kevin Durant went on like 11-game winning streak, 13-game winning streak in the middle of the season. He leaves the Nets with it, and the Nets drop from like 3 or 4th place to all the way to 6th. And he could have easily taken that one. It was only a game away at the end of the year. But definitely, when you look at the matchup, I mean, Trae Young and Atlanta Hawks in Game 3 had to shoot 65 or more from the floor in Game 3 in Atlanta just to beat them out in the ATL. Game 5 comes, Trae Young has to get 35 to 38 points just to salvage a last-second shot to win that one. But the size itself against the Celtics and their offense, again, the Celtics actually in this Game 1 of round 2 against the Sixers shot 85% from the floor against the 76ers. And this is without Joel Embiid. I understand that. But the ball moved from the Celtics. It's kind of an off day for Derek White so far. I believe he's still below 10 points right now. But the Boston Celtics themselves, matchup-wise, is just a little bit of a better team. They have more depth. Obviously, 6th man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon can do some damage defensively.
Yeah.
Not showing it in this game, though, where James Harden has just about 30-plus points right now. He's getting, 20 shots from the floor?
The 39.
But definitely, again, I do have the Celtics winning out this series. I think the biggest question right now is just, does Joel Embiid come back at any of the games in Boston? That's the only question I have about this series.
Mm, for this series, I'm watching on GameCast right now as we're speaking.
Mm.
Sixers are up by 2, 99-97.
Oh my gosh.
Marcus Smart is just hit a free throw. Um, for Joel Embiid, if I'm Philly, I'm trying to take game 1 or 2. If you can take game 1 or 2, I think that'd be a W. You give Embiid plenty of time to recuperate for game 3. I don't know who I have for this series because I'm more focused on the Warriors Lakers series
Yeah.
tomorrow. But I mean, I would love to see a Heat Celtics rematch again. But oh my god, I would have to disagree with the Hawks being better than the what's it called?
Then the Sixers roster against the Celtics.
Yeah, I would have to disagree. But man, it's so hard because I love Joel Embiid. He's one of my favorite players. Oh, James Harden, another 3. I think I can see this game. I can see the series going 7.
Mm.
And wait, was Boston or Philly the higher seed?
Boston, the higher seed, and would have actually, because Milwaukee being taken out in the first round, would have home court advantage throughout any series they do, even to the finals.
That's nice. Oh, Boston just took the lead.
Okay. So again, close game. This is live. Close game in Boston TD Garden. But again, James Harden doing a little bit of his magic. Honestly, because not even that, James Harden in the first series against the Brooklyn Nets, I just felt like he kind of took a step back in the most recent years, kind of regressing his game. But without Embiid, and again, this was a kind of a conversation with Embiid and Ben Simmons. Without Embiid, it's kind of opened the floor for their second best player.
Mm-hmm. Somebody that could shoot like James Harden. Ben
No,
Simmons was just a possession waster. He was just grab the ball and just say, okay, who am I going to pass it to this time? Because I'm obviously not going to score. So I really don't care who wins this series, but I would love to see. I'm just gonna say. I mean, I really don't care, but I would like to see Embiid make the Eastern Conference Finals, just because I
man.
wanted to solidify the MVP, the MVP race. I was like, okay, he made the final. He made the Eastern Conference Finals. He did good this year. Let's give him the MVP, because I feel if Jokic makes the Western Conference Finals, I feel they're gonna give him the MVP again, triple MVPs back to back to back, and I'm gonna be pissed. And then the Warriors go in there and they sweep him, and then he's gonna look like a bum again.
Ooh, okay. Another hot take. Because the thing is, though, I mean, we could be talking about NBA basketball all night.
Oh
You know
no,
what I
yeah,
mean?
for
We
sure.
can be talking about NBA basketball all night, but we got to move on. We got to move on, Jonathan. I love the conversation, but we got to talk about history. The Florida Panthers down
Mm-hmm.
3-1 against the Boston Bruins. And again, arguably one of the best teams to ever grace the NHL this season. Most points, President Trophy winners, and again, like marching, they got a roster, they got a stack of guys. The Panthers got a bunch of dogs on their team. Montour, I mean Reinhardt, Barkov, Kachuk in Game 6. John,
Cousins,
I don't know about you, but I mean, I might just go on a full blown spill for about a minute and a half right now about my Florida
you
Panthers.
watch more hockey than me. You go on your rant. Go
For
ahead.
those who do not know, the Florida Panthers, who came into this postseason of the NHL for 2023, a wild card team and the second to last wild card team against the Boston Bruins. Honestly, I thought that was going to go to 5 games to Boston. I did not expect the Panthers to even get a chance in this series. But the Florida Panthers and Bob Bobrovsky, who has honestly stepped up once again, because I believe in 2019 he went against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they were a top seed at the time. But Blue Jackets won that when he was with Columbus. He does it now for the Panthers. Panthers in Game 7, they had a 2-0 lead to start off in midway through that second period. And then out of nowhere, the Bruins get 3 unanswered goals. And you're thinking to yourself, like, momentum switched. They're in TD Garden. I mean, the barn is buzzing. There's no way the Panthers are going to come in. And then Montour, who had 2 goals in a Game 7 moment. Again, contract extension coming in for the guy. The last minute, 59 point something seconds, Crazy. And he gets it in through the net. Jonka, we were on a Twitter space for like a millisecond because I was getting like back-to-back phone calls from people who had like, way ahead. I guess cable is not going to be beat out Xfinity streams. I have no idea. But they were like calling like, it's tied going to overtime. And overtime they went, and it's like
crazy.
It was the most intense game I've watched. And I hate to say it, but NHL hockey during the playoffs might be a little more intense than NBA, NFL, anything in between. NHL hockey is intense. So the Florida Panthers, with Verhaeghe going to the top shelf with the last goal of the game, top right shelf, against a second-string guy at goal. And apologies, I don't remember his name for the Boston Bruins, second-string goalie, who did his best again in a Game 7, huge stakes at it. But the Florida Panthers do the biggest upset in NHL history on the road in Boston. Now, of course, going against a team which I did not expect to be here. For the first time in 15, 19 years, the Maple Leafs are in the second round. They surpassed the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Jonka, this has been an NHL playoffs that makes no sense. If you thought the NBA made no sense, this makes no sense. The Seattle Kraken, an expansion team of only like less than 2 to 3 years old, just beat out in a Game 7, similar to the Miami Heat, just beat out in a Game 7 the former champions in the Avalanche in Colorado. Maple Leafs beat out Tampa. Panthers beat out Bruins. Avs are gone because of Seattle. Right now, there's a game between the Rangers and the New Jersey Devils. Another Game 7. We have like 3 Game 7s in the past 2 days. I can't keep my eyes off the screen sometimes. And John, I mean, again, you were watching the game too. What were your takeaways of the game? I mean, do we still, because I know you talk about the Miami, Florida thing with Panthers, but I think Florida Panthers is going to stick from now on.
Don't do that to me. I watched it from the beginning to the end. That first period, the Panthers were on I don't know what they injected themselves with, but some sort of like adrenaline that they were just nonstop attacking, attack. The Bruins could not breathe. And then all of a sudden the second period comes and I'm like, oh my God, no. And I'm like, what happened to all that flow?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? It just went away. They were playing soft. The passes weren't being completed. They were losing the
penalties
there.
Sloppy. It was ridiculous. Bob, my apology. Go ahead.
And so then they tie it, and I'm like, and then heading into the third period, we go on Twitter space, and we're going, and then there it goes. Bruins hit a shot, rebound. This guy hits a laser.
Yeah.
And then it goes in, and I'm like, oh, shit. No. Like, don't do this to me, bro.
It's a hard
now
draw.
I got to spend the next, 13 minutes sweating for them to tie this game. And then, Lord and behold, with less than a minute left, he hits it in. And I'm like, and I literally throw my water, throw everything. I'm like, let's go. And then running around my house screaming. And we tie it up, and I'm like, thank God. But at the very end of that third period, they had a couple of attempts to get in, and I'm like, right. Oh no. Don't do this to me.
Yeah.
That was the longest minute of my life. They just kept shooting and shooting. Block. And then I was like, okay. But then heading to overtime, the Panthers could have sealed the deal so many times. Open 1v1 against the goalie.
Oh yeah, I mean they control the entire overtime period.
And then all of a sudden they had another wide open. It was like I don't know what it was, like a over the head pass. The guy grabs it, puts it back down, and he has a 2v1, but he was able to shoot it. He whiffs it, and then another one. He takes a shot, whiffs it again, and I'm like, bro, how many opportunities are we gonna miss? Because it only takes one goal to end this overtime. You don't want to give them, the Boston Bruins, any chances. And then, Lord behold, a shot and ended the game.
Top shelf.
And then that's when I went haywire. I FaceTime Danny. I FaceTime our group chat. I went crazy.
I mean, the entire state of South Florida. And also for those Cat fans who listened to the last few, because the podcast that we were talking about NHL hockey, I was telling everyone, get to FLA Live Arena. You guys did that and more. So thank you to the South Florida fans. And before we go into our next segment, because I know you really want to talk about this NFL draft, but also some news that broke out today. I got a couple of sources from the ticket office of the Florida Panthers to confirm this as well. They're not selling these tickets because, again, the Maple Leafs from Toronto, a original team of the NHL, they're not selling the tickets for Game 3 nor 4 to any Canadians. This will be ticket sales going straight to those of American addresses, and the tickets, as cheap as they go, we're looking at a price tag above $200. So this is honestly, for me personally, I used to work at FLA Live, used to be called the BB&T Center for about 2 years in the ticket office. This is probably the most expensive ticket I've ever seen. And again, we're talking about the Panthers had playoff series recently where they had against the Lightning, which were like former champions. This is the most expensive ticket I've ever seen for a Panther game, priced at $200, most likely in the $300 level. So that kind of just tells you, I mean, it's a hockey territory now in South Florida.
I'm considering getting a ticket. I haven't been to a game all year, and like this would be the greatest time to go. But it's just, I'm gonna bring it up again. Sawgrass is too far, bro.
Hey, but I mean, come on. If you go to an Inter Miami game, you can go and check out a little bit.
I don't go to Inter Miami games. I watch them. Apple TV.
Okay, I see. But hey, Broward County, even though we don't really technically have any Broward teams, Panthers, Inter Miami, a little bit of Broward happening around. I know we're talking about a little bit Inter later on, but let's jump right into it. NFL draft for this season. There were some shocks. There are some really shocking picks, I have to say for myself. But of course, Jonka, you saw the entire thing about. I mean, again, you're like an NFL junkie with this stuff. Tell us a little bit about what your biggest takeaways from this draft.
Well, we all know that our guy Daniel is in the background somewhere. He's a Cowboy fan. We were watching it together. We were at Marco Island, and the Eagles had I think the sixth pick. Was it?
I think that or ninth. It's one of the two.
Yeah, whatever pick it was. And I was waiting for Jalen Carter because Jalen Carter was rumored to be like could have been the number 1 pick in the draft, and to see him go not picked. I'm like, bro. I'm looking at Daniel. I'm like, Daniel, is Jalen Carter really gonna go to the Eagles? And I'm like, bro. And then we're like, bro, shut up, bro. Don't do this to me. And there they go, bro. And then there he goes. The Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Carter. And then further into it, they choose another Georgia player, Nolan Smith. And if you don't know, the last draft from last year, the Eagles got 2 more Georgia players. And I think they also got what's his name? Another, I don't know I forgot what it's called.
I don't know, but either way, the craziest stat of that, because again, the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe like one of their front office guys, apologies, I don't remember his name, but I believe it's a GM, a Florida alum, selected the entire 2021 defensive starters for the Georgia Bulldogs when they won that national championship. I love SEC, but I really do hate Georgia with a passion. And for a Florida alum to do that, good for him. He's going to win a championship, but come on, man. Come on. That was just ridiculous. But, I mean, as you mentioned before, Jalen Carter going number 9. There was some players that did drop a lot. I think one of them that a lot of people, again, especially guys at ESPN, thought that was going to go top 5, top 10 maybe. Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky, the Mayo kid who puts mayo in his coffee, believe it or not. And also, the weirdest thing about him, though, he eats the banana with the peel on. Why? I have no idea. Either way, this is a quick note for me personally about this draft. For those who do know, I do write a lot about the Florida Gators at the Alligator, which is kind of like in Gainesville. And from what I saw in the draft, it was a lot of what I expected. I Anthony Richardson going number 4. I honestly thought he could have even slid to number 2 just because there was some question about CJ Stroud exactly, what can he be like for a franchise off the field? What exactly is his commitment like to a franchise? But the Texans, they liked him and also Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama to go to pick 2 and 3 in this draft. And Anthony Richardson with the Colts, I'm not saying it's the best situation for AR, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely the best situation in the sense of the division. We're talking about a division where, and funny enough, because Will Levis did go to Tennessee, we're talking about a division where you get to see Trevor Lawrence twice a year. So for Florida fans, they can make the drive to Jacksonville. You're talking about a division going against Will Levis. Potentially could be the starter. Who knows exactly what happens with Ryan Tannehill. And, of course, the guy that got the other draft, which I unfortunately forgot the name, but I think is also a familiar name to Will Levis. And who's the other team again in that division? The AFC South.
Colts, Texans, AFC South.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why am I whiffing on Jaguars?
No, I mentioned Jaguars. Jaguars, Tennessee, Colts.
Let's see right now.
Because honestly, I don't even think the other team even matters.
Titans?
Yeah, I said Titans. Either way.
Colts, Texans, Tennessee, and Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think I said all of them. My apologies. But either way, it's just a really fun division, though. And honestly, I cannot wait to see that type of football out there. And honestly, if you ask me personally, out of all the teams that probably won in this draft, I think the Colts are up there. I really do think they're up there, at least top 5. But Jonka, I mean, who do you think is the winner of this draft?
The winner of the draft, for sure, I got the Eagles as the winner of this draft. The sleeper of this draft would have to be the Seahawks.
Really?
They just got Njigba. I don't know if you know from Georgia.
Yep.
Lockett, Njigba, and a DK Metcalf. The 3,
Insane
don't
offensive.
even do that to me, bro. Don't even do it to me. And they got a bunch of offensive tackles and linemen. But then the one I want to see the most, and I agree with you with the Colts, is Anthony Richardson. But they also got my boy, as I mentioned before we started, Will Mallory from the U.
Yep.
I think I could see, because Anthony Richardson is a little bit like Lamar Jackson, where he likes to run it and they can throw it at the same time. I think we're gonna see another version of the Lamar Andrews situation and Mark Andrews situation. There's gonna be a Richardson Mallory. I think we're gonna be seeing a little bit of relationship there, because Will Mallory, if you guys didn't see the combine, because I did, was the fastest tight end in the combine out of all tight ends. So they got speed there. And then what was it? And then obviously what's his name? I have the draft here. My Patriots getting Christian Gonzalez from Oregon.
And he dropped like heavily. I honestly thought he was a top 15 guy like that.
And then what's his name? Oh yeah, that's right. The Baltimore Ravens getting Zay Flowers. He was supposed to be committed to UM, but Manny Stupid Diaz said I didn't want him, so he went. Don't even get me started. Don't even get this. It's a trigger.
We're talking about professional football, not college just yet. Not an season just yet.
Wide receiver TCU Quentin Johnson headed to the Chargers. Another weapon for Justin Herbert.
Yep.
Ridiculous. Dalton Kincaid to the Buffalo Bills. That's a great pickup. They needed one. Dawson Knox.
Yeah, and the Bills had a pretty good. I mean, again, another Florida kid, Osiris Torrance, an All-American going to the Bills for O-line, which is kind of, again, I don't know exactly how bad their O-line really needed that, but they definitely got probably a top 10, top 5 O-lineman from this draft in there.
And then Jameer Gibbs from Alabama headed to the Lions. The Lions were a sneaky team last year. I was saying that. I don't know if you guys remember. The Lions could be sneaky. And now they just got somebody, DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. Oh my God. When I saw that, I saw Daniel's heart fall. Was it round 2? What was his name? Oh yeah, that's right. Michael Mayer to the Raiders.
Yep.
So they got Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer. What's his name? The quarterback. What was it? Jimmy Garoppolo. They got Hunter Renfrow, and they got somebody else. I forgot who it is. What's that guy's name?
For which one?
The Raiders.
Stidham? Is he still on that team?
No. He's a receiver.
Oh, I'm not too positive, but sorry, I'm a little bit back and forth because the Celtics are another close one with Jason Tatum going to the line for 2 free throws, down a point. Whoa. But let's keep the show going. The last thing I want to talk about this draft, of course, being of South Florida, the Miami Dolphins draft class. I honestly thought it was a little bit confusing. They ended up getting Cam Smith out of South Carolina for their first pick of the draft in round 2, pick 51 overall. Mm-hmm. I think it's great to have another guy behind, of course, Ramsey and Howard, who are the obviously first and 2 string guys who are going to be sharing, back in the outfield. But I wanted a tight end for Miami early. Like, I wanted an early tight end. I wanted an early alignment. But you go to have insurance, and then they added more speed. Another track guy, Davon Achen, which is from Texas A&M, great guy. When you think about, does he find the gaps a little bit here and there? His vision's kind of a question, but when he finds something, he can really stiff arm, stay good balance and speed. But man, Elijah Higgins, Stanford, round 6. Kind of shocked he was that late, but then again, great that the Dolphins were able to get him. And then Ryan Hayes, a Big Ten O-lineman, which is always good. So Dolphins, they made up in the last 2 picks of this draft. The first 2, kind of questionable for me.
The Dolphins, I think they used that 51st pick or the 20th pick for Cam Smith because of Vic Fangio. I think Fangio said, yeah, I don't think this guy's going to work out. Give me a good guy from the draft. They got him. And then Devon Achane from Texas A&M, the guy that torched us that week, I think it was week 4, week 3, the Hurricanes played him, and he was a dog.
Yeah,
I knew he was going to be good. They got Elijah Higgins from Stanford, Ryan Hayes. Man, I don't know, bro. I personally feel like the Dolphins should have gone for offensive tackles because they need to protect Tua this year. Because if it ain't Tua, they're done. They're goners. I don't know who they're gonna use. They're gonna have to pick up somebody undrafted. I don't know who.
Mm-hmm.
They better hope this draft wasn't a waste.
Yeah.
They better hope so. And I don't know if you saw James Harden hit the 3.
Yep, I just saw it now.
Yeah. If everybody listening, it's a 117 Philadelphia, 115 Boston. James Harden hit a 3 to go up by 2, and Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart bad pass, Paul Reed steals, Jason Tatum personal foul. It looks like the 76ers could possibly take game 1.
Yeah, Harden on a 45 piece too. So
that's
Celtics who shot 85% through a weak defensive Philadelphia team. Most likely going to lose game 1, but then again, game 1, not the series. You never know.
Yep.
But definitely a tough break for the Celtics there.
And there it is. Paul Reed makes both free throws.
Yeah.
The game ends by 4, 119-115.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, let's keep the show going.
Yeah, let's go.
Next
Son of
up,
a-
the impressive Marlins. Marlins right now with a winning record, and funny enough, all their MILB affiliates also with a winning record for probably the first time ever. The Marlins, a winning franchise, and have been dominating the National League. I mean, John, what do you're more of a baseball guy than me, but what do you think of this Marlins team? They got fans back in the building now.
Yeah, I've been seeing they've been having great attendance. They've been playing great. Like I said, I've been saying this for however long I've been doing this podcast with you guys. They needed hitting. They needed hitting. If they Luis Reyes, and Seguro are getting the hits that they need. They're making the runs. They're doing what they have to be doing. I think the Marlins, they still need one good pitcher away, and maybe one or two average hitters away from being a contender. I'm serious about that.
Right.
They're 3 games behind the Atlanta Braves. They're tied with the Mets, but the Mets have the series, the series games won, so they got that. Let me see here. Yeah, I think before the deadline, I think the Miami Marlins are gonna have to find some way to get some hitters in. I don't know where they're gonna find it from, but I would suggest finding it. I don't know. What do you think is more important for them to find, hitting or pitching?
I mean, as of right now, because I mean, again, this is a Marlin team who is 9-0 in like 1-run decided games. This is a team that I think needs a little bit more hitting, though. Like, I like the pitching so far. I think it's been much better than what people anticipated it to be, not just Sandy Alcantara, but also other guys in that bullpen. But definitely, if they continue to, have games where you can have 10 or more runs, just dominate teams. I haven't seen the Marlins dominate a team when it comes down to like the top franchises in MLB. So I would love to see more hitting from this Marlins squad, kind of like get games kind of done with it within the 6th inning at least. More hitting will definitely be a huge part of Miami. And the way that 2017, for those who do remember, Giancarlo Stanton, Ozuna, Yelich, those are teams that will always bring guys to the ballpark. Sandy's Beach every Friday. Good stuff, but I don't think it's going to bring in more people. So definitely hitting for the Marlins. I would have to say I want to see more.
I'm gonna have to say if more people that watch baseball or the Marlins have yet to have yet to score double digits in a game so far this year.
Yeah.
So I would have to agree with the hitting part. But I think it was a couple days ago, they had a 4-game series against the Atlanta Braves. They lost 3 of the 4. It was 11-0, 7-4, 6-4, and the Marlins won the last one 5-4. Losing the first game 11-0, it's
bad. It's bad.
But then they beat the Cubs 3 games in a row. That's good. But then tomorrow they have a 3-game series against Atlanta again.
Yeah.
And that's
at home too.
This is at home, so this is big. If they can take those 3 games that they lost back, they would put them in a good situation. That would actually put them tied with Atlanta. Because Atlanta is 19-10, and if we win those 3 games in a row, that puts Atlanta 19-13, and that puts us 19-13.
Exactly.
So if I'm the manager, if I'm the coach, I'm saying, hey guys, let's get serious this week. Let's beat this team, and then you have an easy series after that against the Cubs at Chicago, and then the Diamondbacks, and then the Reds at home. Then you play the Nationals. Ooh, and then you have, whatever goes on after that.
So again, it's a long road still for the Marlins, but from a lot of people's talking right now, Marlins looking to be a playoff team this year. 3 games against Atlanta during the weekdays at Lone Depot Park. Probably huge for the long run, being against the Atlanta Braves. Now let's go to our last segment. We've got a few minutes left in our podcast today. But Inter Miami finally, for like a month or more, they got a win in the column. Inter Miami able to beat out Columbus on the road in Columbus, Ohio, 2-1 off of the foot of Campagna. Goal at the 7th minute, and then Hernandez on the other end for the Columbus Crew, able to get in the 10th minute. But Campagna, he kept on going. Inter Miami was more aggressive this time around. I think that they looked much better offensively. Got one in the 41st minute. Then it turned to a more defensive game, some close calls here and there. Not a single goal for any of the sides as Inter Miami was able to take it 2-1 into the second half. Jonka, is Inter, I hate to say it, but because this is obviously a breather for Phil Neville, but is Inter Miami back now?
As much as I would like to say yes, I'm gonna say no, because they took Miami FC to penalties, and they won. I expected obviously Inter Miami to win in penalties,
Right.
but that's still not a. You shouldn't be going to penalties against Miami FC. The way you're representing the MLS you're making them look like bums.
Yeah.
And then you go into this game, Miami only had 30% of the possession. They only had 8 shots, 5 of them on goal. Columbus had 20 shots, 8 of them on goal. Miami had 3 yellow cards. Columbus had 10 corner kicks. Obviously, Drake Callender had 7 saves to Columbus's 3. But Campana was able to just save the day. He saved the day.
As per usual.
But I won't give credit to Chucho Hernandez, the one that scored in the 10th minute. That goal was nasty. It was disgusting. Oh, my God. He placed it perfectly just over the reach of Cal. Bro, watch it, bro. Perfectly placed. Me and Daniel were just in shock how nice it was. But overall, who do they play next, man? Who do they play?
They play against Atlanta at home, Drive Pink Stadium this Saturday. So this will be, I think, much closer than I think people will expect to see. But Inter Miami has yet to even get a home win in more than a month, maybe even a month and a half at this point. So it's gonna be tough, but they need the home cooking.
I could see this game ending in a draw.
I could too.
Because Atlanta has lost the last 2 games, we've won our last 2 games. Yeah, if you include
Miami FC, which we will, Miami FC.
Okay, yeah. So yes, we've won our last 2 games. Atlanta has lost their last 2 games, but they lost 2, they won, and they drew twice. So they haven't been playing well either, in a way. So I'll say Miami, they're on a streak right now. I think their morale overall is going to be better. I know Atlanta's going to be wanting to snap that 2-game losing streak, but Miami is at home. Hopefully they snapped this home losing streak already, because I don't think losing at home is going to make you look any better. Like, obviously, you've won the last 2 games for Phil Neville. I know he was on the verge of the chopping block. But I think if he continues to lose at home, which is not a good thing for people that want to come and watch your team play, the fans want to see you play at home and win the games at home.
At least some.
So, and then they played Charleston at Drive Pink Stadium too. So their next game is also at Drive Pink Stadium. So I'm hoping.
And I mean, in that game too, it's outside of the MLS. So that's like, what is that called? Like the US Cup or something like that?
Yeah, it says round of 32. I don't know.
So I mean, these are not games that are going to affect Inter Miami in MLS play for the regular season. But still, everyone's got an eye on them, man. Everyone's got an eye on them. Everyone's expecting them to have victories against these, lower league teams, as we would probably call it here in the United States in soccer. So Inter Miami, they got to get this stuff done. They have to.
Yeah, they need to get it together. Losing those 6 games, it hurt them. It hurt them big. They did move up from 14 to 13,
which is
but
something.
every other team that they needed to lose won. So that didn't really help them.
Well, Inter Miami slowly making their way up the leaderboard step by step, breaking that franchise worst 6-game losing streak. They break it against the Columbus Crew, and now look forward to this Saturday against Atlanta United. We thank you again for joining us, as of course, every single Monday on Plug Talk Sports here. Come by next time, same time, 9 p.m. next week, Monday. I'm Brandon, of course, Jonka as usual. And guys, we'll see you on the next one.